And then suddenly, ever so suddenly, out of nowhere, these pictures emerged. And Kenyans have been dumbfounded. Kenyans are frozen in disbelief. They can't believe it. It is a horror story. And of course, I'm a Kenyan, a very patriotic one. Yeah. And let me just be brutally honest. These are the most disturbing political photographs I have ever seen in my entire political career. And trust me, I have seen many politically disturbing photographs. But this one takes number one, no competition. Mungu saidia Kenya. What? But now I have to get my emotions out of the way. Yeah. Put on my thinking cap. And I suggest you do the same, so that we get to the bottom of this, so that we totally understand what is going on here. Okay, for starters, there is something very wrong with this photograph. Okay, those who understand our politics, those who understand what has been going on, there is something disturbingly wrong with these photographs. Can you guess what it is? Let me ask you a question. A very simple one. Is it possible for you to produce for me another photograph of President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni of Uganda and Raila Odinga? Please, produce another photograph other than these sets of photographs. Produce another photograph for me of those two gentlemen together. I'm sure you get what I'm driving at. Yoweri Museveni cannot stand Raila Odinga. He can't. And for many reasons. Yeah. Some of them tribal. Okay? Can you say tribal hatred? You can't stand a certain tribe. Okay? But here, we have for the first time the two talking. And this is not Photoshop. These two gentlemen are there next to each other, and they seem to be having a cordial discussion. Now, in my opinion, this is a very key clue to help us to quickly get to the bottom of this. The other thing that is wrong with these sets of photographs is that Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta with Raila and Museveni? No! It is President William Ruto. Now, those who have been following our politics will know that Museveni and Ruto fell out. Tena, they fell out very badly. Museveni has even taken his former ally and close friend to court over those G2G oil manenos. Okay, Uganda were being overcharged because most of the fuel of that landlocked country passes through Kenya. And we know that it got emotional from Museveni. Yeah, because he gave us too much information. He told us some middlemen in government in Kenya. Isn't that what he told us? And he told us those middlemen in Kenya are causing Ugandans to pay too much for fuel. And that is not all. It was revealed that Uganda had finalized a deal with Tanzania to bring in their fuel through the port of Tanga. Now, I'm aware many of us don't know this, but Tanga is the oldest port in Tanzania, very old, and it is much closer to Kampala, Uganda, than Dar es Salaam is. And in the last days of the presidency of the late John Pombe Magufuli, a lot of work was done at the Tanga port to enable it to accommodate much bigger ships. Now this news had Kenya in a panic, because all this time they thought Uganda were bluffing when they said they'd bring in their fuel through Tanzania. Yeah, for the simple reason, the distance between Dar es Salaam and Kampala, the roads, etc., etc., would not only make it too expensive for Uganda, but not practical. But now with Tanga port coming into play, the whole scenario changes. Now what does all this tell us? It tells us that Yoweri Museveni was fed up with Kenya and Ruto. But here he is in a photograph with Museveni. But by far the most disturbing thing about this photograph is our Raila Amolo Odinga seen next to William Ruto, discussing in a relaxed atmosphere. This has just finished, Kenyans. I have received calls from livid Kenyans. What are they saying? No, 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 no. Tulikuwa tumesema hatutahama Kenya, lakini sasa nitahama. Kama ni hii, nitahama Kenya. Kenyans are livid. And then it seems that somebody is reading the minds of Kenyans. And so somebody goes and plants a story in the media with the following headline: Key Raila allies to land state jobs in Ruto deal. Ay. Sasa hiyo ndo headline inamaliza kumaliza kabisa. But relax. When you see a story in the media, planted story like this one, yeah, you'll usually be able to tell when the story says, according to some insiders, powerful insiders. Now think about it for a minute. Why would an insider want to give the press inside information when we know very well that insiders go to great lengths to keep information away from the media? Now here insiders are feeding the media information. Think about it. They have something to gain. What they're trying to tell us here is that those photographs we saw of Raila and Ruto together are real. Now we have been saying things on this channel, and it's like some people think it is just a theory. Others don't believe. Others call it a conspiracy theory. Okay? But now, we have in front of us, according to me, the most telling evidence of what we have been saying. Okay? Because you need to explain how President Museveni can take somebody he can't stand to his beloved farm, where he keeps cattle, at Kisozi in Gomba district, and then also at the same cozy, upcountry, rural setting, he also hosts somebody who he currently cannot stand, has big issues with. And not only that, at this cozy rural meeting, all Kenya's problems with Uganda are solved, pop, just like that. This issue of fuel arriving in Uganda too expensive because some people in Kenya want to make money, that issue solved, pop, just like that. Explain that to me. Let us cut to the chase, okay, and break this down so that we understand. And if we didn't understand before, we now understand what is unfolding. You know, last week I produced a highly sensitive special report, okay, and those who have taken it in may believe that I already knew this was going to happen, may believe that I could look into the future. Yeah, because that special report exposes everything. I even say in that special report things I cannot say on this open channel. Okay? Anyway, I believe at this point we can remove on the table all doubts that there's another outside factor involved in this. There is a third party, yeah, involved in this drama. And that third party, let's be clear, has the ability to tell President Yoweri Museveni Mzee Yoweri Museveni, we kaa hapa chini. I want you to do 1, 2, 3. I know you can't stand so and so, but I want you to do this. And then the same person speaks to the Kenyan president. Same instructions. And the same person also speaks to Raila Amolo Odinga. Now those of us who have followed the career of Raila Amolo Odinga for decades, we are very much aware of the fact that Raila is no pushover. And by the way, Raila people have a plan. Okay? It is in that special report. And let me put it this way. This plan will not frustrate Kenyans. Because this meeting in Kisozi, Gomba district, is a frustration to long-suffering Kenyans. I can't call it anything less than that. And let me say at this early juncture, it will not work. Okay? Those who didn't sleep well last night, including a dear friend who interrupted this recording to tell me, Chris, umesikia? Umeona hizo picha? Haya, Chris, mimi nitahama Kenya. They were so frustrated, including those people. Relax. Tuliza boli. And I'll tell you why you should do that very shortly. Now, something else important here. We've been talking about linking events. Okay? So, these photographs from Uganda, our neighbors, hit social media. And they really cause chaos. But shortly after these photographs arrive, this story of key Raila allies to land state jobs, that story also appears. Are they linked? Are they? Of course! They must be. Because the idea here, bila kizungu mingi, the idea here is to finish all opposition to the Ruto government. Finish it! Kabisa. Okay? And I'll also link the same to something else. This AU job manenos for Raila, nobody wants it to leave the news. Okay? And let's just be very honest. The elections for this high-level AU post, do you know when they are? In the year 2025. January 2025. We're still in February 2024. That means we have 10 months to go. And by the way, the campaigns for this particular post are not like campaigns for presidential election. No, not at all. And if you don't believe me, I refer you to the last election for this post, which also involved a Kenyan, Amina Mohammed, the former foreign CS. Yeah, she was vying. And by the way, she missed this post by, do you know how many votes? 3. Tatu. She was just 3 votes away from being the boss at the AU. So, who is this person? Or who are these people who are sustaining this narrative? So that it looks like these elections are tomorrow or next week. Tell me who? Okay? Kenyans, my dear friends, don't be fooled. Don't be sucked in into people's games. You know, I analyze Kenyan politics daily. That is what I do from morning until late in the night. And therefore I can tell you, in my opinion, Kenyan politics will look very different. By the time we reach April, Kenyan politics will be unrecognizable. It will be very different from what it is now. Yeah? April this year, 2024. Okay? And so, if we already know that about April, that is if you trust my judgment. Okay? If we already know that about April, Who wants to talk about July? Let alone November 2024. Who wants to talk about those months and predict what is going to happen? Let alone the year 2025. Let's get serious. But we have to admit, these people are smart. It has worked. Kenyans are talking of nothing else. Kenyans are so obsessed with a photograph taken in Uganda next to some cows, and those cows of Museveni are now celebs. They're trending on social media. Now, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. And I just want to make sure that we all understand. Because these chini ya maji things are tricky. These behind the scenes things are very tricky. Even very seasoned analysts whom you respect do not really understand it. They don't. Yeah. And I've seen from the analysis, they have serious trouble, serious problems, when the analysis forces somebody to go to this gray area, if I can call it that. But actually it's not a gray area. Yeah. It is usually very clear. And to make it clearer to all of us, I want to refer you to a series, a TV series called Ray Donovan. Now, Ray Donovan, for those who have taken in this series, Ray Donovan is a fixer. What is a fixer? Simple answer, somebody who fixes problems. And so on behalf of his clients, what Bwana Donovan does for a lot of money is that he fixes problems. Let's take a few examples. A celeb goes out partying and things get out of hand and they overdose on whatever they're taking. And so what happens is that they wake up one morning and find themselves next to their companion who is dead. Yeah. And they need to call the police. And of course the police will be followed very closely by the press. That celeb, kwisha maneno. And so, who does the celeb call? Ray Donovan. And by the time that story finally hits the press, it is very far from the actual facts of what happened. And this celeb, their reputation is intact. The problem has been fixed. How has it been fixed? Bribery, threats, hey, name it. And of course all these things that have been done to fix this problem are illegal. They're against the law. And make no mistake about it, fixers have contacts. Fixers are smart. And so, let's come back to the real world. There is a crisis in Kenya. Everybody knows. And so this fixer, who fixed August 2022, let me just leave it there, is called back in. And now the Kenyans who can separate the emotions and feelings and anger from what is going on in that supercomputer up there in your head called the brain, can clearly see the work of this Ray Donovan. Now before I forget, actually I should have said this much sooner. There is more evidence that has emerged this morning to prove that there is a third party. There is somebody in the background, very powerful, unseen, but directing what you're seeing, directing the events. Lawyer Otiende Amolo of the ODM party was on a talk show this morning and he said many things. But there's one piece of information he dropped so casually. Even the person interviewing him missed it. Well, fortunately, I didn't miss it. Otiende Amolo said, this thing of the AU job for Raila was not Ruto's idea. And then he left it there. So, whose idea was it? It was not Ruto's idea. And we all know it was not Raila's idea. Okay? But we also know that the person who broke the story was Ruto. Join the dots. Whose idea was it? It wasn't Ruto's idea, we are sure. It wasn't Raila's idea, we are sure. So whose idea was it? Chew on that. So, will it work? No, it will not work. Am I sure it will not work? Yes, I am very sure it will not work. Okay? And I want to give you the reasons why. But before I do that, let me remind you of that special report I was talking about. You can see details on the screens right now. I believe it is very important for anybody who wants to totally understand what is going on here. Because some of the issues here are super sensitive. Okay? For only 1999 Kenya shillings. Yeah. And the dollar amount you can see on your screens right now, you will have this special report. I highly recommend it. And I believe you can see all the details that you need to get hold of it. Now, we had said only 50 slots. And so far, last time I checked, we're about halfway. Yeah, so please rush to avoid disappointment. Reason number one why this will not work is the following. Raila Amolo Odinga is not a politician. He is an institution. Okay? What is an institution? An institution is something that can easily operate without the leader being there. Okay? Because the reasoning behind this Ray Donovan, who fixed this, his reasoning is remove Raila out of the picture and all opposition to the Ruto government is kaput, finished. Now, anybody who understands Kenyan politics knows that that is not true. It is not true. Like the early assumption, you remove Maandamano from the equation and the government of William Samoei Ruto will be successful. Has that worked out? No, it hasn't. So that is reason number one why this thing will not work. Reason number two is really very simple to understand. Reason number two is that there's only one solution to the current problem in Kenya. One. There is no other solution. Okay? And please allow me to tell you a small story to illustrate this. When I was a very young political analyst, very green, do they say wet behind the ears? I was still learning. I sensationally announced to my political lecturer, I believe it was in 1991 or thereabouts, I sensationally announced to my political lecturer that Moi would be out of power in just a couple of weeks, maximum. That was the time when pressure on multi-party had mounted. Foreign powers were investing heavily in removing Moi. And you know how arrogant my late political lecturer was. That was the day he used his favorite phrase. That school fees I've been paying, I think I should go and get a refund. Because somebody I put through that system, very expensive for me, did not learn anything, did not expand their brain capacity. And he posed for effect. And he said, the reason why Moi would not be removed from power for a very long time, if ever, was that Moi understood one very basic thing. The link between the stomach, somebody's tummy, and politics. If people are hungry, then Moi can leave power yesterday. If people don't have enough food, Moi can leave power yesterday. If people don't have enough money in their pockets, this is my political lecturer talking in the 90s, not today. If people don't have enough money in their pockets, if people are struggling with money and cost of living, Moi can leave power yesterday. But look what Moi has done. so much relief food in Ukambani. Some of it is embezzled, but a lot of it gets to the people. So the people are having their meals, even very poor people. People are making money. There is money circulating in the economy. People can survive. You will never remove Moi. Well, I must admit at that time, I did not agree with him. In fact, I strongly disagreed with his opinion. Yeah, in my mind, huyu ni mzee amepitwa na wakati. He doesn't understand. But looking back today, he was absolutely 1000% correct. And so, the only way to stabilize the Ruto administration, immediately, is to put money in the pockets of Kenyans. Is to put food immediately on the table for Kenyans. If you can accomplish those two, Ruto will survive to 2027. Easy! Without breaking to a sweat. But what is happening currently? The Ruto administration continues to take away money from people. More and more taxes every day. Don't even talk about food. Bottom line, when people are hungry and broke, nothing will work. Even if you send today Raila Odinga to take up a post in the planet Mars or Jupiter, maybe the farthest planet we can get, you send Raila there for a job. So that he can get out of Kenyan politics. It will not work. Okay? I believe those two reasons are enough. They're compelling enough. I don't need to give you others. And so, what will happen next? Well, I can tell you, sustaining this AU narrative and handshake narrative, let them even try to appoint a few Raila people into key state jobs. They can do anything they want, but it is not sustainable. And so in my opinion, what they are doing is in fact going to have the very opposite effect. It is provoking Kenyans. Instead of stabilizing, it is provoking. In my opinion, had they done nothing, the Ruto administration would have lasted much longer. Okay? But now, because they've decided to do this thing, they've just speeded up the inevitable. And you don't have to agree with me. It is okay for you to strongly disagree with me. Okay? I don't mind. In fact, I'd love to hear your arguments in the comments area below. Because, although I do this for a living, I don't know everything. I don't, and I will never know everything. And so my hope is that you will sleep better tonight. Until next time, this is Chris. Kumekucha.